All right, so I have a guest today that is well known in the trucking industry. He has been around for a while. He's got a unique story. I'm anxious to hear it. I don't know the details of the story, but I'm anxious to hear it. And his name's Tony Justice, and he is a country musician and a over-the-road truck driver. And I want to hear a little bit more about this because I see his name all over the place, and he's always at these truck shows and outings and everything. And I'm anxious to find out a little more about him. So, Tony, I appreciate you joining the Oakley Podcast and visiting with me and let our listeners learn a little bit more about Tony Justice. I'll be honest with you, they probably know more than I do. They probably listen to you all the time. I'm just a new listener since I heard about you, but really good. Welcome to the podcast, man. What's going on in your world?
Oh, it's thank you guys for having me. We've been looking forward to it, and we're just really busy right now gearing up for getting ready for the Large Cars and Guitars 4 Truck Show. So we're wide open, but
let's start with that. What is that, Large Cars and Guitars?
So it's just, it was an idea I got about 5 years ago. A lot of people know the story of my wife being diagnosed with breast cancer at the end of 2018 and going through all the procedures and surgeries throughout 2019. And the Lord really smiled down on us. She came out on the good side of that, and we were able to kind of pick up where we left off. I didn't do anything on my music that year. We didn't play any shows, book any shows. I figured that was the end of the music. We had to focus on her, and music became very insignificant. And the only thing we really did that year was we put in 19 was put out a video that we had already recorded, and we put it out around the time of the Mid-American Truck Show, and a little song called "Last of the Cowboys" in the video, and that thing just went stupid, and we went from maybe making $150 a week in downloads and streams to bringing in $3,000 and $4,000 a week. It's crazy how the Lord works. I mean, that's what got us through that entire year with her fighting the battle and the surgeries and procedures, and allowed me to be here with her a lot because of that. And so when we landed on our feet, I thought, it'd be pretty cool to do a truck show and just to celebrate her victory with some of our closest friends in the trucking industry, and maybe raise a little money for Susan G. Komen, to help raise awareness and some money for those fighting that terrible disease. And so I got an idea to do a truck show, and 5 months later, we was doing the truck show. We come together pretty quick for us, and we're going on our 4th year this year at Bristol Motor Speedway. It's May 23rd and 24th. We get well over 200 trucks. So we mix her victory story over cancer. We raise money to raise awareness for that, and also Speedway Children's Charities. And then we combine my loves of music and trucking, which I've had my entire life, and combine it with, a lot of really big artists. We got Montgomery Gentry this year, and L.B. Shane, myself, Amy Sunshine, CCR Tribute Band, a bunch of really cool trucks, and a bunch of show cars and rat rods, a big fireworks show, and it's a pretty good time. It's turned into quite the event.
Sounds like you're doing it up right.
Yeah, it's a good time. Well, so we've been blessed with a lot of great sponsors. Food City and Bennett Family Companies is presenting sponsors of the show. So we had a bunch of other people that's really stepped up and helps make it possible. As you guys know, you guys run a very large business. It takes an army of good people that believe in you and your vision, and so we're blessed to have all the right pieces of the puzzle.
Central Arkansas Truck and Trailer strives to take care of our owner-operators as quickly and accurately as possible. As a family-owned and operated company, they understand and value the importance of relationships just like we do. That is why Oakley owner-operator Joe Williams continues to return to their shop for service on his truck.
I've been with Oakley Trucking for 2 years in this April, first-time owner-operator. It was a shock, the maintenance and the repairs on it, because I've never done anything like this before. And I told my wife, I said, I'm going to try that Central Arkansas Truck and Trailer, because they're so convenient. They're right there off the interstate, right down the road from Oakley Trucking. And I talked to Nathan And being an owner-operator, he tries to get the owner-operators in and out as quick as possible because he knows if we're not rolling, we're not making money. If they tell me they can get my truck in at a certain time, they get it in at a certain time. If they tell me, well, it'll be ready at this time, it's ready at that time. So I can really count on them. They're competitive with anybody around, probably better than most.
Next time your truck needs service, give Central Arkansas Truck and Trailer a call at 501-568-2185 and let them know you heard it here on the Oakley Podcast. Start back at the beginning, Tony. I think our listeners, I know I am very interested in the Tony Justice story and how he got into country music and how he got into truck driving. And first, before you do that, tell us about your family.
Well, that was going to be part of telling you about that.
Okay.
Basically, my dad was a truck driver. Him and my mom met out in California. My dad was from Kentucky. My mom was from California. And he was driving for Sears and Roebuck, delivering furniture out there, in the Los Angeles area. And they met up, and my grandma, my stepdad, I call him. Actually, we were already in existence, and me and my two brothers and him and mom met and got married and all that. And his mom ended up getting pretty sick. So when I was 3 years old, we was the opposite of the Beverly Hillbillies. We instead of going from the country to Hollywood, we went from Hollywood to the heart of Appalachian, as far as East Kentucky as you can go, coal country. And so the trucking continued there. He, started hauling coal for gentlemen in and out of the coal mines. And then as time progressed, he ended up with 3 of his own trucks. So me and my brothers, we were quite energetic. So he had to keep us busy to keep us out of trouble. So we had a lot of chores around the house, keeping the trucks washed, serviced, going in and out of the coal mines. Dad would grease his trucks every weekend because it's either muddy, it's either really bad muddy or really bad dusty, So we were cleaning them every weekend, greasing them, then servicing them every 3 or 4 weeks. And so he kept us busy. And, Dad was a big fan of country music. We always had, Conway Twitty or Merle Haggard or George Jones playing in the background while we were working on the trucks, me and my brothers. And then my mom was a very talented and amazing singer-songwriter, and she did with gospel music. She played churches. So I grew up. I've been asked a lot of times what came first, trucking or music, and I just tell people that I can't really remember a time in my life where both of them was not a part of my life.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah, I started playing bass when I was 6 years old with my mom. When I was 7, I actually went out and started playing. They would travel from different churches and little radio stations there in Eastern Kentucky, and started actually playing those deals with her. And so I just grew up around the two, had a genuine love for both music and trucking. And I guess I tell people I'm the luckiest guy in the world. I've been able to grow up and do both, see both of my dreams come true.
Yeah, I mean, you had it both. A stepdad that was a truck driver and your mom a gospel singer. I mean, that you didn't have no choice. Now you're doing them both, aren't you? You're singing and driving, right?
Yes, sir. More singing than driving these days.
That's good. I think that's probably, that means your music career is doing really good. So, what how I guess explain the difference there. How much time you spend driving, how much time you spend in the music business, Tony?
Well, before, from 2011 up to probably 2021, 22, 21, the year of 21, between, there and 22, we was, me and my wife was both working full-time jobs. She was a waitress at Cracker Barrel. I drove for a company out of Greenville, Tennessee called Everhart Transportation, and which was really supportive of what I was doing. Klein and Lisa owned that company, and kind of old school mentality, old school trucking like I grew up on, and it was all about the trucking music and stuff. So we were able to kind of do both. We'd worked our full-time jobs full-time, and we did the music part-time, and we did that for several years. I'd go out and run, on weeks that I'd have shows, I'd go out and run a couple thousand miles and get back in on a Thursday and find a load that was going somewhere close to where the truck show was that weekend, unload on Friday morning, and then hurry up somewhere and get my truck cleaned up and go to the show. And we were packing. We didn't have a lot of merchandise back then, but we had some T-shirts and hats and little pop-up tents and our luggage. And it was always funny because time we got the truck loaded up, everything packed in the sleeper, we didn't have anywhere to sleep in the truck. So we'd always have to make that run overnight and deliver that load and go get cleaned up, get everything unpacked and set up. And we'd finally get to lay down and get a little bit of rest. But we did that for quite a few years, we hustled it. And we just finally got to the point to where, we were more and more people started realizing who my audience was, and that they were, 100% truckers, and we've got enough of a following that, that it's really been kind of easy to start getting sponsors and things, people that have products or services, and they want to target that truck driver market, then that's the people that follow us. So we're blessed to have some great support. I passed the sniff test with the drivers, they knew for sure I was one of them, and their support's just been overwhelming. They want to see me do good because they know I'm one of them. If I have success, I feel like they feel like they have some success. So it just kind of kept growing, and it got to the point where I looked at my wife and I asked her, if we've accomplished this with a part-time effort, what would it look like with a full-time effort? So in 2021, we kind of took that leap of faith, and so far we're still doing the music full-time and the trucking part-time now. So, but we still get a lot of driving in. We're blessed to have a tour bus sponsored. We got a 2001 Prevost, and that thing's 55 foot long, and I pull a 20 foot enclosed trailer with it. So we're like 67 feet, including the ton, and about 55,000 pounds. I got my CB in there, my General Lee, and
Do you drive it?
Oh yeah. I haven't got to the point where I afford a driver yet. So I hate riding. I'm a terrible passenger. I'm a nervous. I guess spent some years driving. I just if I'm moving, I just seem to be behind the wheel. So I get to get a lot of driving in still. It's just not. I just don't have to deal with the weigh stations and the shippers and receivers. I just enjoy the good part of it.
I'm gonna say there's not a lot of artists that can say I drive my own bus to my own shows.
Yeah, there's some, but not a whole lot, especially these days. Some of the older 80s and 90s artists. I know Aaron Tippin drives his bus quite a bit, but he don't have to. He does it because he wants to. And
yeah, I got on your website and I saw where you guys were kind of friends, and you had done a podcast with him, and or you had him on your podcast, and seemed like y'all go way back. Yeah,
we just we met through a guy by the name of Kim Williams, who actually was the writer of the song "Brothers of the Highway." George Strait initially cut that song, and we were in the middle of writing. Me and Kim Williams was in the middle of writing my Brothers of the Highway album, which at the time I thought was going to be called "We Drive Trucks." And he pulls this song up on his computer. He says, "You need to record this song right here. You need to put this on your album." And it was George Strait singing. I said, "That's George Strait, ain't it?" He said, "Yeah." I was like, "Man, that's the career suicide. You don't record a George Strait song." He said, bull hockey." It was his exact words that he used. He was quite the character. He said, bull hockey." He said, "George, a rodeo guy. He likes roping calves and riding horses." He said, "You're a damn truck driver." He said, "You just sang that song from a whole nother place." And I told him no for probably 3 months, 2.5, 3 months. But I kept listening to the song, and I loved what it was about. Brothers of the Highway, Children of the Wind. It just brought back so many memories of riding in the truck with my dad and the way things were in the 80s and mid 70s, early 80s. And I just liked the symbolism of the song. And So I called him. I called Kim Williams back up and I said, hey, I'll record this song, but I want to make it the title cut of the CD. He said, all right, I agree to that. And then I think later on that night, I was talking to a good friend of mine named Bill Weaver. Everybody that drives the trucks knows you got those 2 or 3 people that you talk to while you're trucking all night long to pass the miles. And Bill Weaver and me, we spent a lot of hours on the phone. And he's also a singer and songwriter. But he said, yeah, CFO Aaron Tippin record that song with you. And I said, oh, yeah, I'll call him right up and ask him, And he said, well, maybe Kim Williams, maybe Kim knows him because Kim had written several. He's a songwriter Hall of Fame. He's written several number ones for several different artists. So I actually called Kim and asked him, and it just so happens, he said, well, I'm doing a fundraiser with Aaron Tippin next week because Aaron Tippin cut one of his songs that Kim Williams had written called Blue Angel, which was a big hit for Aaron Tippin. And so they were doing this fundraiser deal together in Nashville, and I called the boss, told him I needed another day off, and he said, I'll take you down there and introduce him to him. You can ask him yourself. And so we went down there, and he introduced me to him, and I don't think I've ever been so nervous in my life, but I kind of had a little spiel put together talking about the brotherhood, and it'd be a really good, really cool connection because, Aaron drove trucks and was a singer too, and here I am driving trucks, working my way up as a singer and songwriter. And, a lot of times people would maybe look at the two of us as competition, but to come together and do the song together and then what the song was about, I was like, there'd be no greater symbolism than that.
Yeah.
And so I kind of threw that out there at him, and he's like, well, yeah, man. That's how he answered me. And the next week we're in the studio recording the song and capturing some video footage, and all the stars lined up.
Quick story with Aaron Tippin. I used to go to Sirius XM building, which over by Bridgestone, once a month, and I'd get on the KC Phillips show. And I was waiting in the waiting room there, up a couple stories up there in the waiting room before I go into the studio. And here comes Aaron Tippin. Him and his wife, and I want to say his son was with him, is who he introduced, because he introduced himself. We met each other, and then he was introducing a new product, new wine he had made and was selling. So that was my brush with Aaron Tippin, but super nice guy. I mean, just down home kind of guy,
Yeah, he's just one of us, man. He's super cool, laid back, very very humble kind of guy. Definitely blue collar. You don't put none of that on, He's good.
Let's talk a little bit more about your music, because I think the fans and my listeners would like to know how you come up with some of these songs and your songwriting. Do you have to get in a special frame of mind to write a song, or does it just kind of come to you and you write it down, or piece by piece? How does that work, Tony?
Yeah, so just different each time. I always say, number one, the best writing room ever is in the cab of a Peterbilt 379 going across America. There's inspiration around every corner. If you just keep your eyes open and ears open, you hear things on the CB or in conversation at these shippers, receivers, or different things. So sometimes, I've had songs come at me so fast. Thank God for modern technology where you can hit record on your phone, and I write melody and lyrics at the same time. So I just sing it into my phone, and sometimes it would keep building. I'd sing I had 2 or 3 lines, and I'd think of another couple lines. I'd go back and re-record that, and and I was able to kind of keep trucking and just doing that. It's no different than talking on the CB, and then I have to stop and write words down. But sometimes I've had them come at me so fast. It's just it's like they just drop into my head from the heavens, And for example, I was one of my favorite songs I've written. I was rolling up through Virginia on 81, and about 3 o'clock in the morning, there's about 6 or 7 of us, a couple cattle pods and a flatbed and some door swingers mixed in there, but we all had pretty good running trucks. And we come up on the scale house, and they were actually closed for change there, which doesn't happen a lot there in Virginia. And wasn't too far past there. We was all in the left lane, and truck come out to pass another truck, kind of come out in front of our lead truck up there. The guy's on the front door, and he had to get on the binders pretty quick. He didn't have time to grab the microphone and say, "Look out, y'all." He was busy just trying to keep from having problems himself.
Right.
So next thing we knew, he's all hitting the brakes and grabbing gears and trying to figure out where we was going to go to miss the truck in front of us. And then when the dust all settled, there was silence on the CB, and just from out of nowhere, somebody in the group of us said, "Who in the hell broke down in the hammer lane up there?" I about went in the median, and I was like, and broke down the hammer lane, and it wasn't an hour later, I had the song come to me, and the words were coming so fast, the storyline, the words, that I couldn't even, I thought I'd forget them before I get them recorded into my phone, and then there's been other songs like, 18 Wheels and Jesus that I wrote the first verse to 25 years ago. And I never could finish it. And then,
wow,
finally one day, the rest of the song come to me, and I finished it up. So I've been really blessed to write with some very successful songwriters that's actually had hits in Nashville. And those guys are, I say you have two kinds of writers, perspirational writers and inspirational writers. And I'm more of an inspirational writer. Those guys, they set up songwriting appointments a week in advance. I don't know if I'm going to be inspired to write something a week from today. And if I'm not being inspired, I'm the worst songwriter in the world. I mean, I just shouldn't go fishing or do something else. So, just it comes at me in different ways. And some you have to work a little harder on, and some come really quick to you. It seems like the best ones come really fast to you.
Tell me about your band.
So we just, I had the same band that I used for about 8 years up until year before last, and it's just a little 3-piece band. But man, they're really, really talented guys. But some marital things, personal things that a couple of them were going through, they kind of had to back away, and I ended up actually reconnecting with my guitar player Stanley Lemons. He played guitar with me at the very first gig that I had. I was up in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. We played every weekend at that place called the Atrium. It was just a little bar above the Pancake House up there. And it may have seated 50 people, but a great town to play in because you get the advantages of being on the road playing to different people, because you'd have all these people from different states coming in every weekend. So you had the really good way to spread your name around without all the travel expense, And so he was the very first guitar player that played with me. That was back in 91, 92. And he, just fate would have it. I ran into him, and he was kind of looking to do something a little different. And so we reconnected, and he knew some other boys, got a hold of them, and we put this band together. I got together now, and it's just a bunch of great players, really good to work with, no attitudes. He's like, I am pretty blessed. They do a heck of a job for us.
That makes it good when you got good people to work with, for sure.
It does. Well, these guys are all seasoned. We're all, except for my banjo and another electric guitar. He's kind of like a little, he plays multiple instruments, does banjo, acoustic, and lead guitar. He's probably, late 30s, early 40s. The rest of us are been doing this a while, so a lot of the egos are moved on out of the way now.
Right.
A lot more responsible people working with each other.
I can tell you're kind of old school country music. I listened to 2 of your songs. One of them, I forgot the name of it now, Tony, but I was listening to it yesterday, and here come that steel guitar. I said, okay, now we're on to something. We got some steel guitar in this guy's music. I really like that part.
Yeah, that's what I grew up on, and that kind of music, those kind of songs. I'm in trouble.
Who were some of your heroes back then? Who's music?
I've always been a big Merle Haggard fan. I actually wrote a tribute song to him when I was out. Ironic enough, the day that he passed away, I was delivered in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And when I got into there, I was heading to Fort Smith to reload to head back to East Tennessee. And so when I was coming down the Muskogee Turnpike there, headed back down to 40 in Oklahoma is where I actually heard that, that he had passed away. And the very next song they played was Okie from Muskogee. And then they ended up playing one Merle Haggard song after another all day, after midnight that night. And literally I tell people in the song, Merle Haggard, he drove me back home, that night. And
did you ever get to meet him?
Never did. No, I got to go see. I got to see him in concert twice. Once in Bristol, Tennessee, and in Sevierville, Tennessee. Him and Willie Nelson and Ray Price.
Oh yeah,
that's probably been about 15 years ago or so, 20. But so I got to see him in concert, which is really cool. Never got to meet him, but he was always a big influence on my music. I feel like, and I was a big Alabama fan. Jerry Reed, of course, man, his guitar playing, and all the good old good ones,
Yeah, right.
George Jones, Conway Twitty, man, I just so many of them.
Tight fitting jeans. I remember my
baby.
grandpa liking that, man.
That's right.
Your music, of course, resonates with truck drivers. I guess that's mainly your audience. But do you see it bleeding over to different audiences, Tony?
We've kind of, a little bit I do, but it's not really made that. It's not really crossed the barriers of the trucking industry and went into mainstream. I'm not what Nashville's looking for as far as a rider goes, and pretty much everybody knows what it takes to get on radio, and so we never have really pursued that. I never went to Nashville and knocked on doors and tried to get record deals. We just kind of took it by the horns and learned a lot along the way. But I started my own independent label, started my own publishing company, and my wife is extremely brilliant. One of them kind of people that can, go down a rabbit hole and read some books, watch some videos, and come out knowing about publishing as much as somebody that went to school for 4 years. She's incredible. She just absorbs and remembers, and so we've learned it all on ourselves pretty much. And but it's just cool because I don't have nobody getting a piece of that or telling me what I can record or what I can't record. And
that's pretty.
So I don't know
impressive.
if it'll ever go over into the mainstream or not. You never know. I think we've got a few songs that are good enough that could. Our albums consist of 75-80% trucking songs, but we always throw those 2 or 3 songs that I've written in there that are not trucking songs. They're just songs that I've written that I really like and want to record. That I think are good songs, good enough to put on an album. And so I think we've got some that if it got out there, they could be successful. But we just put those things in the Lord's hands, and what's meant to be is meant to be. We're pretty happy with the lane that we're in and having a good time. And
it sounds like you got a successful career, business. And you're doing things right, and sounds like your wife's amazing, and sounds like we both married up, which is not unusual, but so gotta have them in our life for sure. What's next for Tony Justice? What are you looking at here in 2025?
We just want to keep continuing on doing what we're doing. Like I said, we're enjoying what we're doing. We get out and meet a lot of people playing. We play a lot of truck shows throughout the year, which is really cool because it gives me a chance to get out and meet the different people. We drag this merchandise trailer around with us. We sell merchandise if we're just playing one night, we're there at the truck show both days. If it's 2-day or 3-day truck show, we're there. And I'm very accessible. I stay at the merchandise trailer all day, and it gives me a chance to meet everybody and spend some time, tell some trucker stories with people. And, it's just how we operate. And we really enjoy doing it. We haven't got tired of doing it yet. And,
I got a question here that Annabelle wanted me to ask. I actually don't know what it is, but she want to know what is the story behind Purgatory.
The name?
Well, just what's the story behind it? Is it a rebuild? It's a truck.
So
okay.
We recently did a makeover on Purgatory. I went into Purgatory, started driving it in 2012 for ETI.
What is it? What kind of?
It's a 379, 2006 379 Peterbilt.
Okay.
And that's the truck that I was in pretty much the whole time that my music was growing. And I was doing, of course, a lot of posts from out on the road and videos from inside my truck on social media. And so that truck just coincidentally, accidentally, whatever, it blended right along with me and my music. And so I refer to it as it's like the Duke Boys and the General Lee. Not that I'm that level of fame or anything, but it's this comparison to that. And so we made the transition from ETI over to Bennett, and I've never owned the truck. A lot of people think that it's my truck, but I've never owned it. I just never felt like I could do the music and own a truck because they're both take all your effort. So, but we purchased the truck and brought it over there with us, and so we've just been together. It's my sidekick, and we just, like I said, we just did a rebuild on it. And as far as the name goes on it, I got the name for it from a Western that I watched with my dad a long time ago, called Purgatory was the name of the Western. And it's a Purgatory, and the Western was a little Western town. And these couple outlaws died. And they went to Purgatory, and waiting to find out if they get to go to heaven or hell, and they got to be really good while they're there in Purgatory. Some other outlaws died. Well, the first ones that did and went to Purgatory, they were trying to do right. They wanted to go to heavens, and the other outlaws was just taking advantage of people that was trying to do right, robbing and stealing and raping. And finally, the ones that were trying to do good had enough, and they went after them and ended up killing them, the bad outlaws. And turns out that was their test to get into heaven. So they did the right thing. But I always compare, Purgatory. I heard the story about Purgatory as a place you go to it's your time to go to heaven or hell. And so trucking, some days it's heaven, some days it's hell. I couldn't think of a better name than Purgatory for the truck. That's how I come up with it.
That's a pretty good story. That's that's part of your career. That 2006 Peterbilt. You got to keep it around. A lot of music was written in there. A lot of songs probably written in the cab of that thing.
Yeah, hopefully one day get a big enough song or make enough money I can just finally buy it.
Yeah.
That's hold on to me.
Then you fit the big time then.
Yeah, when I hit the big time.
At Aero Truck Sales in Springfield, Missouri, they take the hassle out of buying and selling semi-trucks. No matter the manufacturer, the style of cab, or the type of engine under the hood, they can make you a fair offer on your semi-truck with no games or gimmicks. They carry trucks from all the major manufacturers in the trucking industry and perform a thorough inspection of every truck on their lot to ensure safety and quality and give you confidence that you're getting a reliable truck that will last you for years at a price that you can afford. Aero has partnered with Oakley Trucking and the Oakley Podcast for years and are proud to provide our owner-operators with trucks that meet Oakley's qualifications and each owner-operator's specific needs. So whether you're a first-time owner-operator or just looking for a change of scenery, give Keith Wilson a call at 573-216-6047 and let them know you heard it here on the Oakley Podcast.
Real quick, two more things, and then I'll let you go. One is tell me about your family. You told me about your wife, and I'm assuming she's coming through all that real well. And do you have kids? And what do you do when you're not singing and trucking? What do you do on the weekends, time off?
Yeah, so we just, like you said, family. We spend time with the family. I have 4 children of my own, 3 daughters and a son. My wife has two children from a previous marriage. So altogether we have 6 kids, and we just went from 3 grandkids last year to 6 in the same year. So we doubled that. So we have a busy, busy family. We all try to get together on, a couple weekends out of the month at least, sometimes more than that. And, anything from cooking out. Well, we enjoy going to dirt track races. Taking the younger ones fishing. I like to fish, always been around boats and bass fishing and different things. So just spending time, enjoying the family. We get pretty busy from time to time. So when you have that downtime, you always no different than driving trucks full time. You're trying to make up for that lost time.
Yeah. That's important. You got to make time for family. That's for sure. And the older we get, the more we realize it, don't we?
Yep. Yeah. It's funny how your priorities change with age.
Yep. So what's your newest music that's out, and how do people find you, get in touch with you, and listen to it and buy it?
So right now, my latest album that we put out is called Greatest Shifts. We combined 3 of the most popular songs from the last 5 albums, and recorded 6 new songs, and put that Greatest Shifts album out back last June, sometime around June. And anyway, so that's the latest and greatest one. You can find, all my music, merchandise at TonyJusticeMusic.com. We've got a really nice website, good secured site. It's a very busy website. Like I said, we've got amazing supporting fans that go in there, and we've got a pretty large merchandise selection these days. So you can go to TonyJusticeMusic.com and check that stuff out. Hopefully we'll be going in the studio toward the end of the year this year, and I'll start writing for a new album here as soon as I get my truck show kind of behind me here and some more
When's
room
your
on
next
my plate.
appearance?
So my truck show, we got
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have me, Montgomery Gentry, Elby Shane, Emmy Sunshine. So we'll be performing there. Then I get a couple weeks off, and we head up to South Dakota at Will Jam.
Okay.
For that truck show up there. Just a really good friend of mine, Scott Marone, put that show on up there. He passed away last year, and so we're doing a big tribute to him, and we're keeping that. His family's keeping that truck show going, and to his, in honor of him. So we're excited about that. And I have my website. You can click on tour, and you can see what shows we're playing, things like that. So then after that, we're going to be playing the Mayberry Truck Show. We'll be playing Star Stripes, the White Lines Truck Show. Oh man, where else are we at? We got a show up in Canada. We're playing the big show in Wisconsin this year up at was that Baraboo up there? 194 and 39 split up there in Wisconsin. Up there around the West Dalles area.
So you got a lot coming up this year. You got quite a bit going on.
Yeah. We're very blessed. A lot of different truck shows. We'll probably be out at Guilty by Association Truck Show, Brian Martin, out there in Joplin. We're going to that one, and Southwest Virginia Truck Show. Some friends of mine put that one on. So we'll be busy. It'll be fun.
Yeah, sounds like it. Well, so let me ask you this. Do you first of all, I got to thank Annabelle, and I got to thank, who's on his side, Annabelle? Laura. Thank Laura for putting this together. I really appreciate them doing that, because it wouldn't have happened without them.
Absolutely.
Did you know anything about Oakley Trucking, or you'd ever heard of us or anything before this?
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen your trucks all over the interstate. I'm 23 years plus driving over the road. I've seen plenty of my share of Oakley trucks. And didn't know a lot, about you guys. You see a lot of different trucking companies out there, but I knew there was quite a few Oakley trucks, considering as often as I would see one.
Yeah, we're very proud of them. And I was just wondering if you kind of knew some of them or knew about the companies. I got a feeling you probably just gained some fans after this episode comes out, Tony.
Very nice, very nice. No, it's funny because when Laura first contacted me, like, you want to do this Oakley podcast? And I was like, hey, Oakley Glasses is one of the middle podcast. and she goes, oh, it's okay. I was like, oh, the truck together. Yeah, I know who that is. I'm like, heck yeah, let's do it. So we appreciate you guys having us on. It's a lot of fun. Enjoy meeting new people.
Yeah.
Getting to know new folks.
Yeah. Hopefully we can meet in person one of these days down the road.
Yeah. Yeah, you need to come out and get you out here at the Large Cars and Guitars Truck Show next year.
It sounds like a good time, man.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Well, I appreciate you doing it, Tony, for sure. Hang on just a minute and let this thing upload so we get done. Yeah. And, hey, listeners, man, you guys are awesome every week. I really hope you enjoyed this. Go check out TonyJusticeMusic.com. I mean, just a little bit I've listened to him. I know y'all probably already know who he is and done, but it's fantastic music. Good heart. You can tell it's coming out in his music. Just really good stuff. And I try to bring you guys something different every week to learn a little bit more about the trucking business and the people in it. So I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll talk to you again next week. Thanks.